Next slide. Can everybody see? The name of this class is Lions Clubs International and MD4 District and Club Tax Compliance Overview. As the title implies, this tax information and filing information pertains to the districts as well as to each individual club. My name is Deborah Braun. I go by Deb. I am president of the Imperial Beach Lions Club in San Diego, Imperial counties, down in 4L6. We kind of hold up the state from the bottom, as I've been told. I have a company called Exceptional Solutions. We are a nonprofit incubator, and I am a nonprofit specialist, in addition to having degrees in business and human resources and nonprofit management. Today's session is, the first section we're going to cover is what is tax compliance and how does it apply to Lions? You think, well, I'm a Lion, I'm a volunteer. Why do I need to learn anything about taxes? And believe me, there are governors who've gone before you, in addition to prior leadership, who have had no idea they had any tax responsibilities. I'm going to try, I need to pull in another screen, Jan. I'm not quite sure how to do this.
You have it open?
It is open down in my tray, but I can't see it from where I am.
If you take your cursor down to the bottom, you know, or at the top, you should be able to see something.
No, nothing. This takes up my whole screen. This particular PowerPoint takes up the whole screen.
Roland?
Why don't you stop sharing and then share again and click on the new one?
Okay, and so we'll go down to lower you. Okay, can you all see that?
No, hit share
Not
button.
yet.
So I blew that one. We'll try again. Sorry, folks.
Okay. There should be a share button after you select the window that you want to show.
This is my window.
And hit share again.
Down at the bottom, hit your share.
I don't have a share button, so.
Move your cursor to the bottom of the screen.
It's trying to go in the wrong way.
Okay.
The green button.
Sorry, everybody.
No
It's okay.
problem.
I don't want that screen up.
So move on.
Which file?
Okay.
My Zoom button.
Every little Lions Club is different. Every big Lions Club is different. But there's still two basic models of running a Lions
Deb,
Club.
is it that you can't find the share screen button, or are you trying to share a particular screen?
I have like 5 handouts and I can't
Uh-huh.
find the share screen.
Okay,
It's
so
down at the bottom of your screen. If you have to move your cursor to the bottom of the screen.
Down to the Zoom.
yeah, so right in the middle.
It's
the
a green thing with an arrow. It says share screen. Right in the,
I don't have that. I've only got the blue Zoom button.
No.
no, just above that. If you're on the page where all of our pictures are.
Nope, I lost you. I only have you on my screen.
Okay.
You need me to go back out and come back in?
Mhm.
No, on your pictures there, do you see a window up there to enter full screen? Or
No.
Little blue circle with a
Arrow.
No.
okay. Which file do you want to open up? Maybe I can do it.
I'm just trying to open the PDF files.
Okay. Is there one in particular that you want to cover next?
There is, and I just had it up there, so give me 1 second. It's entitled Lions Clubs International State of California Tax Issues. It's got my logo at the top left-hand corner. It says checklist.
Oh, I think
LCI California tax issues.
Yeah, and then it says checklist underneath it.
Debbie, if you click on where your name is at, the bar will come up where it has share.
is it titled ES LCI and MD for sub-district and club compliance outline?
Compliance overview.
I just lost it, so give me a second here. Lions Club International / State of California tax issues and regulations affecting Lions Clubs and leadership, and then it says checklist.
Okay, I have it. I can share it.
Okay, then I should close my screen out.
Yeah, let me share.
Close current tab. Oh, then I'm gonna end up closing all of them out.
Now, don't close. Don't close. Just stay there.
Okay,
Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes, we
no,
got it.
I'm on the purple screen.
Okay, no. Do you see? Oh, you're not on Zoom. You're on Zoom. So click on the blue Zoom at the very bottom when you put your mouse down to the bottom.
With the camera on it.
Yeah. Does it pop up?
Pops up and says personal meeting ID.
There should be two of them.
That's the only one I have.
Click on your picture.
I found.
Yeah, click on below the picture.
Okay.
Or above the picture, below or above the picture, and any icons show?
Below it.
Like this dash, this little square,
These are all her.
grid.
It has available away, do not disturb.
No.
You don't have to click, just put the arrow.
In a Zoom meeting? No.
No, don't end.
Okay. My apologies.
It's okay. I'm just trying to find out where you're at. Right now, your screen has nothing but your desktop.
My screen has just the purple screen on it, and then what I just opened for you has when I hit the Zoom button, just says my personal meeting ID, PMI.
Yes.
That's all that's open.
They were telling her to go over here.
If you slide your arrow right below the picture where it'll come up
On the purple screen?
on like where you see my picture and it has my name, just slide the cursor right there and the bar will show up.
Slide
You don't
the-
have to click.
Slide it to where though?
To like right below the picture.
Okay, I have your picture by itself. I don't have anybody
Okay.
else.
If you slide the like where my name is at,
I don't have a name on it. I just have 4 little things underneath that I can do.
What are the 4 things?
I have a down arrow, I have a microphone, I have a camera, and then I have a green arrow that I presume expands the page.
Try that.
Okay, now I have you all back.
Good. Okay.
Hi guys, I'm so sorry.
Welcome back. Do you want to try sharing or do you want me to share it?
I'll let you share it since it's open, if you don't mind.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
And I missed it. I'm on vacation.
Okay, you can continue whenever you're ready.
Okay, now I've got to find it because I can't see the whole page. So let me, There you go.
I can scroll down whenever you need.
Okay, well,
Roland, can you pull that up to full page?
full page. And then maybe we can just reduce the size of the page.
Yeah, she's not gonna read the whole thing anyway.
Yeah, mine is several pages.
By the way, these are all in the handouts that are available for each of you as well. Okay, so these are some basic.
No dice. No, sure.
We lost you.
That's okay. I'm trying to expand it. How about now? Is that better?
No,
You want it smaller or bigger?
bigger.
Larger.
Okay, better.
More?
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Less.
Okay, we lost some of our formatting, but that's okay. The information's there. Okay, we'll start there, Roland.
Okay.
Okay, so basically when your clubs were chartered, you should have been issued an IRS identification number, which is an employer identification number.
We were.
And there was a new club, I believe it was Rose's Club, who had not been issued that when they were, when their guiding lions sort of walked away. They didn't have a tax ID number to take to the bank. So I just want to make sure that you know that that's one of the first things you should be doing when you chartered a new club. And with this number, you're going to file your annual tax statements with the California Franchise Tax Board, and you're also going to file them, with the Internal Revenue Service. That was a typo. And I'll come down below to where you will file for your California ID number to file your California taxes with. So I do have a link on here, and it's a hot link. So when you download these, or if you leave them on, just transfer them to your computer, you'll be able to hit the link and they're typed perfectly right off of the URLs. So like the HTTPS for the IRS, you can go there and there'll be several things that you'll be able to do. So I'm going to cover a few today. Most counties in California require that nonprofit corporations, which is what the clubs and the foundations are, require you to file a fictitious business name. Now, there's some question that may get asked, oh, you're a nonprofit, you don't have to file that. That's not true, because as a California corporation, you do need to. So you file this with your county recorder, which means going to your county administration building, go to the county recorder's office. There's an application online. There's also an application. I put San Diego's application on here so you could see it. You can download it, fill it out before you get there, and you'll walk out with a completed fictitious business name, and then you're going to send it to the newspaper to have it published.
You must be already have it up. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to publish it for 4 weeks. The newspaper you choose is going to send you back proof of that publishing, and you're going to hang on to that as one of your formation documents because you have to renew that filing every 5 years. Okay?
Deborah, I tried to raise my hand.
Ooh, I can't see who you are.
Rose.
Rose. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, at the beginning, because, you know, I was trying to do it. You said we were not issued that state ID number to take it to the bank.
The EIN number, and you should.
Yeah, we did have the EIN number. That's how we opened our account, but we don't have the other number.
You didn't have the California number.
Right.
Okay, when you first charter and you go to the bank, or anytime you are making a change in banks, you need to have a copy of the letter from the IRS issuing you that EIN number. 2, you need a copy, excuse me, you need a copy of the LCI letters of exemption that show that you are a nonprofit organization under a parent company. And you should have your articles of incorporation for your club.
Oh, you know what? Maybe between the guiding lions and the president, they took care of this. I wasn't president then, or I was just a tail twister. So maybe they took care of all of this, but I don't have nothing on file.
Okay, and what office are you holding right now for this year?
Right now I'm treasurer.
Okay, somewhere there has to be a book that has all of these formation documents in it, and they need to be kept in a safe place.
Well,
My recommendation is you ask for them, and the articles, the IRS EIN letter,
I have that.
your LCI exemption letter should each be put in a plastic slip cover and put
I
in a
have that
notebook.
one. Uh-huh.
So once you do that, all your documents are going to be in one place because you're going to have to make copies and use them later on down the line.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Am I confusing anybody yet?
Okay.
Some of this may be old school for some of you, but I just want to do a quick review. Excuse
I
me.
wasn't aware that you have to refile your name every 5 years and
The
publish
fictitious business name and republish every 5 years. It's only good for 5 years, and it will tell you that on your paperwork.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
We
But
haven't
you,
done that.
again, you can download the form off your county site, fill it out, take it to the county admin building, walk out with it, and then when you get back, make a copy, send a copy to the newspaper, and you can find a really cheap newspaper out of the list of all of them that they give you. It doesn't have to be an expensive one, just so long as it gets published for those 4 weeks. Once the 4 weeks is over, within about 2 weeks, they'll send you back proof of that publication. And with that will be the instructions to make sure you know you have to renew it in 5 years.
And what happens if you don't file it every 5 years? Say it's never been done.
That's part of the non-compliance issue that has to be corrected.
Yeah, we've never
Okay.
done it.
Okay, but you're sort of new, so
Okay.
we'll start you off right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next, as a club or a district, you have to file articles of incorporation with the California Secretary of State. And that's your application 501c4 as a nonprofit corporation. It's actually a nonprofit membership corporation, which is what Lions and Rotary and all of the service organizations are. They're 501c4s. You cannot give up that 501c4 and change it into a 3 because you want tax write-offs. You have to maintain the 4. That's per the Constitution and bylaws of LCI. And remember what Jan told you earlier? Those bylaws, override anything else, any other bylaws, either your club bylaws or your district bylaws. That's something you cannot change. If you decide to form a 501c3, nonprofit charitable organization with tax deductible donations, you're going to apply for it as a totally separate entity with totally separate officers from your club officers. However, most clubs are small enough that you need to share the board of directors, and that's not a problem. We just want to make sure the officers are different so there's no chance of double dipping into the treasury accounts.
Also, when if they want to form a 501c3, they have to do something different with their name. They can't just use their club name.
Exactly. So
you can put
I walk
foundation on
them
the end of
through
it.
that, right. You can do, like I have Imperial Beach Lions Club as my club, or Inc. as my club. The foundation we're forming is Imperial Beach Lions Club Foundation. Also, when you are in the throes of thinking about forming a foundation or a building fund, once your initial paperwork is put together, you must send it to LCI to have it approved, because you'll be using the Lions Club name and emblem in what you're doing, and you need approval for that in advance, because the 501c3, like I said, is not recommended by LCI, but they will approve it if you go through the right channels. Okay?
Deborah,
Yes.
that's one thing we did not do. So how do I correct that one? Call you later?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay. After the articles of incorporation have been filed and stamped and returned to you, you're going to have your C number on it. That's your California corporation number. That number will be used to file your taxes with the California Franchise Tax Board. It's also going to be used with the Secretary of State, which is the next item here. When your club is formed, and every time you change officers or address for your club, you need to file what's called a Form SI 100, Statement of Information, with the California Secretary of State. If your officers serve a 2-year term, you only have to do this every 2 years. Otherwise, you have to do it annually. Mark it on your calendar. The easiest time to file this is when you file your PU 101. It takes 2 minutes to do it. You can file it online with a credit card. You don't have to mail it in. But when you file anything online, whether it's this form or your tax forms or postcards, please print before you hit send so that you have a copy proof that you've actually done this in case it gets lost in the system. Okay? Because if you hit send first, you may not be able to retrieve a copy right away.
Right, Deborah. Clarification on that one. The SI 100 can be filled out originally online. And they're good for 2 years for the nonprofits.
Correct. Unless
so if you change officers at the end of the first year, you have to refile it, and that has to be paper filed. You cannot file that one online.
That is correct. But again, if you're serving 2-year terms, you only do this once every 2 years. If you're serving single years, you're going to do the first one online, pay your fee, and the second one you're going to, you can fill it out online, print it, put it in an envelope with your fee, and mail it in.
There is no fee for the second filing. The update, they don't charge a fee.
Okay, sorry. I'm losing my voice here. Thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
Okay, next, as a club or a district, because you're already registered with the IRS and you're using the exemption letters from International, which gives you your nonprofit status with the IRS, you do have to file separately for the state to get your exempt status, nonprofit status. So you're going to fill out what's called a Form 3500, and that is going to be processed through the California Franchise Tax Board. And you're going to attach to it a letter from the IRS that gives you or shows you your exempt status with them. And in our case, it's like 3 letters we have from the IRS for LCI. If any of you don't have copies of those LCI letters, let me know and I'll make sure that you get them. Everything that's on here, everything that I do, I have electronically so I can send it to you. If I assist your club in a filing or in cleaning up a mess, I send you electronic copies of the completed files in addition to a full paper copy sent by USPS when I mail it off to the entities. That's just for backup. You want to make sure, I need to make sure my tail's covered and you need to make sure yours are. Also, it's good in case there's a fire. You want to make sure you have them in 2 separate locations. Okay, so once you've received your letter of exempt status back from the California Franchise Tax Board, and that usually takes 2 to 4 months. In the mess we're in right now, it's taking more like 4 to 8 months. But once they come back online, I think we'll be in pretty good straits. The last item that you need to address is with the Office of the Attorney General, which is the Department of Justice for the state of California. You're going to initially register with a Form CT1. It is a 3-page registration, requires no signature, but it does require your formation documents. So you'll include a copy of your Articles of Incorporation, a copy of your letter issuing your EIN number, and a copy of your exempt status letter from the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board. Excuse me. And you'll send these in via the Postal Service. Annually, then, you will go in, you will receive a notice and you'll go in and do a 1-page renewal form with them that just basically states that nothing's changed. But here comes your biggie. The Office of the Attorney General is the one who monitors all fundraising for all nonprofits in the state of California. That's why this registration is really important. And the difference between an opportunity drawing and a raffle is, this is where this comes into play. If you're doing something that you actually will be holding a raffle, a major prize, a major project, you have to register it, get a raffle number, and at the end of the year, you're going to submit that on your renewal report. Nothing big other than you need to do that. On here, I've listed some links where there's some great questions that specifically apply to our 501c4s. But one, raffles we just sort of covered. 50/50s, as Jan said earlier, are illegal in the state of California. If you have what was formerly known as a 50/50, it actually has to be a 90/10. 90% of the proceeds has to go back to the community and 10% can go to the winner, whoever happens to be. So don't get yourself caught saying 50/50, putting it on anything in writing, because somebody will find it and find out, and that's a big red check, which is going to send the Attorney General to your, whoever the holder of your records is, and that's going to put you in quite a quandary to get out of. There's a ton of information on this particular site that will help you so much when it comes to fundraising activities, things you can't do, suggestions that you can do. They've even included some new things for this virtual fundraising that we're having to find ourselves in now. So hopefully that information will be most helpful. On each of these handouts and at the bottom of my PowerPoint, I have put my information as to how you can contact me, either by email or by telephone. So feel free to do so. I'll pretty much take your call 24/7, because sometimes you could wake up as a treasurer and go and check your bank balances online and find you have no money, and you had plenty of money the day before. And so you may be twirling in your head, okay, what did I do? Where's this money? Well, it could be that the Attorney General or the Franchise Tax Board or the IRS has pulled your money for lack of filing tax returns, or for lack of filing any of their other required documents. I had a club here in San Diego with a PDG as a president who found himself in that very position. And he turned around and called his district governor and said, what do I do? And his district governor said, have you talked to Deb yet? And he said, no, why would I? And the district governor said, because she handles the compliance in our district and I'm sure she can help you. So by the time I got the phone call, it was 11 something in the morning. Explained the situation. I made a few phone calls, and before the banks closed at 5 o'clock, the monies were back in the account. Now, I can't promise that's going to happen every time that fast, but the sooner you let me know, the sooner I can do that. And the reason being is I talk to people at the Attorney General's office, at the Franchise Tax Board, at the Secretary of State, and at the IRS every single day of the business week. So my contacts are there. They've been there for over 20 years now. And it just makes it easier for me having those resources rather than having to send you on a wild goose chase. So just so you have the general information, in the past, MD4 and in particular district governors will give permission for me to contact your individual clubs, to work with them, to bring them back into compliance. I only charge $250 to take care of whatever the issue is. It may be a complete filing, it may be doing 10 years worth of tax returns, whatever it is, the price never changes, and you will never find anything cheaper on the outside. I think Jan can vouch for that. Our international directors are behind this program. We first brought it to them 5 years ago, and I think you could have thought there was an atomic bomb that had been dropped at our multiple district convention because these governors looked at us, looked at Cass and I as if we were totally crazy. They had never heard of any of this stuff, that they were required to do any filings, that there was a problem if you didn't file returns, that there would be fees and penalties. I can pretty much get those fees and penalties waived as long as you're willing to work with me to get me the information to fill out the necessary forms. So that is that particular handout. Roland, can you go to the next one that we have? How are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, let's see. Which one are we looking for now?
Whatever you've got, I'll take. I won't be picky this time.
Taxify, OAG charities.
That's fine.
Let's try that. How about that? Let's see. Oh, I guess I gotta share. Hold on. How about that?
Great, thank you. Okay, so can you scroll down just for here?
More?
To the top of the page, I'm sorry. Okay, right there. Okay, this, sorry, this URL that's in red is the actual site for the Office of the Attorney General for California Government Charities. This you really want to have, you want to save as one of your favorite spaces so that you can flip to it as conveniently as possible in order to answer all of your questions and file your 2 necessary forms regarding charities, raffles, and professional fundraising. So you'll be able to download these. These are all in the documents in the schedule. The PowerPoint will be there, and all of these particular handouts are all there, so you can download them all or print them, whatever's your pleasure. Okay, can we go down a little bit? I'm not sure we need to cover. No, I think that'll do it for here. That's basically what they need to know.
LCI Legal Response?
Yes. I sent an email when I was preparing the initial presentation back in the year I shocked the governors. I wrote an email to LCI Legal and said, what will happen if these clubs and districts decide not to come back into compliance, do not do what needs to be done to bring them back in good standing? And this is the response from them. So if you can make this just either a tad smaller or scroll down, I'll read it to you real quickly. It just said, Dear Lion Deb, thank you for the email below, which was forwarded to Legal Division for review and response. In response to your first question, any club that has not filed their tax return and has had their tax exempt status revoked must complete the application to get reinstated, or any money raised by the club could become taxable. If a club fails to do this, it may result in the club being placed in status quo and/or the cancellation of the club and the loss of membership privileges for the Lions. In response to your second question, please be advised that Lions Clubs International and its chartered clubs are established as 501c4 organizations under the Internal Revenue Code. This status is specific for social welfare organizations and allows Lions Clubs to be exempt from paying taxes on income received by the club. In addition to this, Lions Club International and all chartered Lions Clubs are unable, under our corporate purposes, to gain exemption under IRS Code Section 501c3, as the purposes do not qualify for the 501c3 exemption. These purposes may not be changed as they are consistent throughout our organization and part of the policy of the International Board of Directors and International Constitution. If it is discovered that a Lions Club has changed their purposes and withdrawn from the group exemption to gain the 501(c) exemption, they will be required to change back. I trust this provides you with guidance in this matter. Should you have any further questions, yada, yada, yada. We have some clubs who thought they were really swift. They had a 501(c)(4), but they wanted those taxable donations. So they converted their 501(c)(4) to a 501(c)(3). Now that means there's no longer 501(c)(4). Where does that put them with Lions Clubs International? Well, for a while they were under the radar and nobody knew about it. Well, LCI knows about it now. They still are they're still refusing to convert back to a 501(c)(4). It's not that difficult, but it has to be done. So if you hear of anything in the wind, please try to put a stop to it, because I don't want them, one, having their charters pulled for not complying. And this is pretty explicit as to how the International Board of Directors and the legal division feels about this particular topic. So 501(c)(4)s are a must. 501(c)(3)s are a maybe, depending on your club circumstances. Not every club should be doing a 501(c)(3). You really need to have enough money coming through your organization, enough activities that can actually substantiate it. Otherwise, it just really is sort of a pain, because it's a whole nother set of board of directors, and sets of minutes, sets of documents, sets of reports that have to be done, sets of taxes that have to be done every year. And they are two separate organizations, so you can't combine them in any way. Any questions? Pretty clear, huh? Okay. All right, what do we have next, Roland?
About Irs Annual Filing.
Okay. Obviously, we get asked the questions, when are the taxes due to be filed? Knowing that we are on a Lions calendar year from July 1 to June 30, that means our taxes aren't payable in April like personal taxes, but they're actually due no later than November 15th. I say no later, but I implore you, most clubs and districts get their final bank statements no later than July. So you can actually start thinking about getting your taxes done in August. And the sooner you have them done, the more they're off your plate. Don't have to worry about it. If you're under $50,000 and you have to just file a postcard, I promise you it takes less than 3 minutes. And you can do that for both the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board. It is so simple to, if you haven't registered, you register with a username and a password. You go in and answer a few questions. You click print, and then you click send, and then you have retained a copy, and you'll hear back in a few days that they've actually processed what you filed. Same thing is true with the Internal Revenue Service. Dates are the same for both. It's only the forms that are different, and that depends on your income. Questions? Jan, you have anything you want to add to that? I think I'm muted. She's muted.
Yeah.
Jan?
So what is the November 15th?
That's the last day that anything can be filed.
Oh, okay.
Without filing for an extension, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's due July 15th.
No.
No.
July 15th, this is for personal stuff and calendar year. We are on a fiscal year. So our year runs from July 1 to June 30th. You've got 5 months for a nonprofit to file the tax return.
That's
And
where your November date comes.
right, and that's
the fifth
so
month.
it's 5 months from June 30th, which is, and it's 4.5 months actually.
Okay.
And then you can file for a 6-month extension. which takes you to October 15th of the next year.
But there's really no reason for an extension, and there's really no reason to put off this filing until October. Like I said, you've got your final bank statements in July. Let's close it out and give you a fresh new year to start with and not have to worry about the baggage from last year.
Absolutely.
Okay? I'm all for one doing things up front or as quickly as they can possibly be done, because I got too many other things on my plate to be worried about whether I'm late or not. But I will suggest that you get a decent sized calendar and you calendar these dates, the dates that your PU 101 is due, the date that your SI 100 for the Secretary of State with your new officers is due, the dates that your taxes are due, and those are the biggies. But then I would take the LCI calendar and the MD4 calendar along with your district calendar, and I would make sure that you highlight those. And I use different colors for each of those entities, but they all go on one calendar so I don't miss anything. Or I don't miss an opportunity for service of, say, 1 month LCI has designated for diabetes. I want to make sure we have diabetes activity going on that month. So I may have that in red or whatever color I happen to have picked. But each one's color coded. And it just makes it a whole lot easier for you, because then you're not waiting for something to come in the mail that may or may not come to remind you to file something. You're on top of it on your own. But again, when you can get from your secretary or your past president or any of your past officers any of these initial filing documents, originating documents for your club, your articles of incorporation, the copies of your SI 100s that are filed, copies of your tax returns, obviously copies of your bank recs and the treasurer's reports. I inherited a club that the treasurer said she was an auditor and she refused to do the treasurer's report in the format that LCI recommends. And it made my life a living hell for a year. So now I have to train a new treasurer, but I think that'll be much easier. It's so important that your members know what's going on as well as your board. And if you're a small club, you know, you're all one and the same, and there's no reason not to share all of that information, but you do need to do it on a monthly basis. That's really important. One thing I want to add in here that I've tried to add into the treasurers, the secretaries, and the president's training today is to make sure your club has directors and officers liability insurance. And you've tagged on to that a treasurer's bond. That's going to give you extra protection against theft or against a suit being filed against your club. Your first line of defense is your corporation, which is why you're required to file as a corporation in California. Your second line of defense will be the liability policy for Lions, but remember that only covers activities outside fundraising activities, where you're covering a building where you're holding an event. If you have other clubs that are participating, make sure that they are listed on there. If you have other organizations that are working with you, make sure they're listed on there. And you just go online, fill out the application. It takes, again, it's less than 5 minutes. Print it off or print off enough copies that all of your insureds have a copy for the day of your event, and you're done. Really super simple, but don't forget to do it. In case there's an accident, either a physical accident or something out of your realm, a car happens to come barreling through, whatever it is, that liability policy is going to cover it. But that is not going to cover you for directors and officers liability, and it's not going to cover you for your treasurer's bond. And your treasurer, you always want to have covered. The D&O is not that expensive, and the treasurer's bond, I think, is only $100 or $120 a year, but it's a huge lifesaver. Unfortunately, we've come across several clubs in the last couple of years that have some real major embezzlement problems. This will come back on you as officers if you do not have this coverage. and you could lose everything you have, your homes, your cars, everything, your firstborns. So make sure that your clubs take this necessary step, and now is the perfect time to do it. So make the recommendation to your board. It has to go in your board minutes. Anytime you make a change and you do any of this, it has to be recorded in your board minutes. That's really, really important. Okay? Question? Yes.
Jan, you mentioned that you got some D&O insurance. Who did you work through on that?
I worked through one of the guys out of Host Lions that has the State Farm Agency.
Okay, State Farm. Okay.
They have our bond as well.
Okay.
And that's the easiest, is to find somebody from the club if you can. I got somebody talking, I can't tell who it is. Okay, Sharani, you had a question?
Yeah, it was, I mean, I think Lion Robert already asked that, because I was just going to ask, where can we find that insurance? Or where do you recommend us getting that?
I would check with your local local insurance agent, if you have one as a member of your club or your community that you work with or that supports you. I would go out to them, because they'll find you the best deal.
Got it.
Okay. And it's also good business to keep business with fellow Lions.
Thank you.
Another question?
Just an FYI, for our fireworks event that we just had, we got liability insurance from International, and we did have a claim that we submitted because one of our pop-up tents, the wind caught it and it kind of blew against the car, scratched the car. I don't expect to meet too much damage, but you know, we did file a claim with them.
That's good. And
Yeah.
It's important that you take down that type of information too, how to contact that person. Just like if you had an automobile accident.
Yeah.
Exchange
Yeah,
names, numbers, and Christmas cards for the next 10 years.
Yeah, we exchanged information.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. But just keep copies of those liability policies in a binder or something, so that you always can go back to and refer to them in case anything comes up in the future that you may not have been made aware of the day of the event.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a whole lot easier than trying to contact LCI to try to get a copy of it.
Correct.
Okay?
What I do is I have a folder for each of our activities that we do, and especially when we as a district or as a zone here do our band review, we use International's insurance for that. And I keep all that electronically also on my computer, so everything is able to be sent electronically if need be.
Perfect. And doing it in an event file, to me, is the easiest way to keep track of your records, other than your formation documents. And that's the one people seem to forget about. So if your formation documents are in one spot, your bank documents are in another, your taxes are in another, and your programs or your fundraisers are in another, you're in like Flint. Because remember, anybody at any time can come in and request to see a copy of your records. And it may not be financial, it may be anything. And you cannot ask them why. You just have 48 hours to present them for them to review. They can't make copies in your presence, but they can ask questions. And you just try to answer them the best of your ability. We just need to be able to show that we have nothing to hide. Everything is transparent, whether it's a club member or it's the mayor of your city or it's the nearest trash collector, it doesn't matter. We treat them all the same. Okay. Okay, Roland, we have another one?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to just one more question.
Sure.
You just had mentioned about the recommended like LIC or LCI's sorry, their treasurer's report. Where can we find that online?
There's an ebook for treasurers.
Yes.
I would recommend that you download that. There was a treasurer's presentation this morning. I would take and download that PowerPoint and the handouts that were made available there. You'll be able to get to it after this session, and if you use the outline that we used today, you'll be able to get it in the future. In addition, each of these sessions are being recorded, so you could be able to actually ask one of the administrators for a copy of the recording.
Perfect.
That help?
All right. Yes, thank you.
Sharini, the link to that is on my PowerPoint presentation.
Perfect. Yeah, I did find the ebook online from the LCI's website, so I guess I'll just go back and refer to that.
If you do that and you look at Jan's PowerPoint, I think it will answer the majority of your questions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions, you can just ask either one of us directly or email us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions before we move on? Okay, Roland, what do we have next?
You have FTB annual and filings, Rex.
Okay, so we've been on the IRS. We're going to go to the Franchise Tax Board.
Okay, it's open. Let me share.
I really appreciate this assistance.
No problem.
Okay. This again has live links on it. All of these will take you, you can download this right off of our agenda today or print it out. But if you download it, then you have access to the live links. So if you click on these things that are underlined, you will go straight to the information that they are referring to. Can you scroll down the page just a bit? Okay, right here. So your this says be formed and operating as a charity or a nonprofit, and we should be doing that according to all of the regulations that were put in place when we started. So check your nonprofit filing status, make sure that you file your tax return. You should never have a balance due, but if it looks like you're gonna come up with one, make sure you contact either Jan or I, and we'll review with you and see if we can't get around that. We talked about the AG's office, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Secretary of State. So when it comes to the California Franchise Tax Board, you will, if you're filing a long form, it's a Form 199. If you're filing a postcard, which is under $50,000 for the year, you're filing the 199N, which is the e-postcard. And you go to a different spot on the Franchise Tax Board and IRS website to file those particular returns versus the long forms. Okay, excuse me. Scroll down just a little. Secretary of State threatens you with a penalty if you do not file your statements on time. Remember, you're going to file these every 2 years unless you change officers every year, in which case you'll do them annually. The first time you file it, if you're filing annually, the first time you can file it online and pay with it by credit card. The second year you will need to download the form or fill it out online, print it, put it in an envelope, and mail it in. If you're doing 2-year terms, you only have to file once, and you can do that online. Down, I think we're good. Here's where your $50,000 in gross receipts comes in, and it tells you which form to file. It also tells you when they're due, same as the IRS. So don't wait on it. Sometime after July, I would work on it. If you have questions, contact Jan or I, and we'll make sure that we steer you in the right direction. And it won't be over a cliff, I promise. Nobody laughed at that. I thought that was funny.
I did.
I smiled.
Okay, scroll down a little more. I just don't remember what else on here. That's the end of that one. Okay. You'd be surprised, you know, if I walk into a room, everybody sort of shudders. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, is she going to tell us that we're in so much trouble? There's no way we can get out of it. And it's almost like I want to put a little devil hat on my head and a little angel hat on my head, because I may come in with bad news, but I always have a way out of it. There's never a cliff to go over. So,
Lion Deb, it's
Yeah.
always with the auditors. I remember when I was doing my internship, and then they would always be scared. It's like, don't worry, we're here to help you only.
exactly. So when you're working with somebody who works with this every day and knows what they're doing, it's a big difference. There are clubs that work with, Jan, don't take this personally, with CPAs or someone assisting them with their tax returns that's old school and doesn't know that if you make 50,000 or less that you still have to file. If you make a penny, you still have to file. In the old days, you didn't have to. But some of these old timers, as nice as they may be and as great a lion as they may be, have wrong information. And so they end up digging a hole for their club or the clubs that they're supposed to be helping. ID Howard Hudson will be one to attest to that quite readily. He gets all of the oddball questions too. And so I've been trying to field some of those as same as with Cass. And if you happen to be working with me on something and I email you back, the first email that you get back from me, you're going to notice that there are copies that go to your district governor and copies that go to Cass. That covers my behind. I don't forward them anything after the initial request because that initial one, when I answer it, it outlines a scope of work that needs to be done to bring you back into compliance. And that's the only monitoring system that they have for me, which makes me feel much better. I'd rather not get hung out to dry on my own. So we've set those little checks and balances in place too, so that you'll know that if I'm saying something, I know Cass is going to back me up because she knows exactly what I'm doing and what I'm working on.
Lion Deb, Rose has her hand up.
Miss Rose? No?
No.
Okay. Anybody want to take Rose's hand?
Rose, your hand is still up on the screen, hon.
Oh, you forgot to put it down from the beginning.
Do I have
Okay,
You have to put
thank
it
you.
down.
there we go. It went away. Okay.
No, they do. I don't.
I lost y'all for a second. Give me one
No,
sec while I
sorry.
get back here.
No, I was just following what they taught us last night.
Okay, got you back. Thought I'd lost you there. Okay, do we have any other,
You got about 13 minutes, Deb.
okay, do we have any other handouts?
Yes, you have the ES, LCI, and MD4 sub-district and club compliance outline.
Can you just put it up for a quick second? We may have already covered everything, in which case we'll just go straight to Q&A. No, we're good. We talked about this as the overview, and this was actually on the first slide. So if you don't mind taking it down, we'll do Q&A. So who's got some good questions they want to throw out? I can unmute all of you if you'd like.
Or they can unmute themselves.
Okay, if you guys can unmute yourself. Who's
when
got
they want to.
questions? Norm, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick one. On the Secretary of State about 2 weeks ago, we received a card saying it was due October 15th.
Uh-huh.
Is that correct rather than November 15th?
No, the Secretary of State postcard that you get has to do with the date that you actually filed your last filing.
Okay,
So it's going to be different for every club.
okay.
So when you get one of those postcards, get it ready and get it in the mail. Don't wait till October.
Okay, good.
Or
Thank you.
file it online, Norm. That's
What's
the
that?
statement. That's the statement of information that shows
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of your
But
officers.
my treasurer has the information, not me.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've already sent it over to him.
Okay. And again, you just want to recommend that when your PU 101 is done in May 15th, that you can alter the date that these come out to you by using that date to file. You got to file that, and it's basically the same information that you're going to put on the Secretary of State SI 100.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? No questions?
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So this question is, so I'm part of a cyber club, and I think in the last session we had talked about calculating, because if you do the fireworks and calculating the sales and the sales tax. So based on that, because we're a cyber club, we don't have like a physical location. So do we use our president's zip code, or do we use the organizer zip code, or would it be the treasurer's or the mailing address?
If you have a mailing address or you have a postal box, which is what I recommend, then use that address. If not, then, and if you change, do you serve 2-year terms or 1-year terms?
1-year term.
1-year terms. You can use either your president or your treasurer, but my recommendation is that you get a PO box.
Perfect. Yeah, we have a PO box. So
Perfect. That's what you want to use then.
perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Well, with no questions, Jan, do you have any closing comments? Any corrections you'd like to make for me?
Just glad that everybody was on here, and hopefully you garnered some good information. And like Deb says, if you have problems, don't hesitate to contact her or I, because we're here to help you. We serve the district, but we're here to serve every one of you as well, and to keep our clubs on the right path with all of our government entities. And we certainly don't want to see a club lose their charter because of some minor thing that can easily be corrected.
So my jurisdiction covers not only my district, but our multiple districts. So that's all of California. And I'm just getting ready to expand to cover all of the United States.
Oh my goodness.
Blood for punishment, girl.
Wow.
They're trying to keep me busy, but I guess it makes up for the 3 years I was out with my breast cancer. So I feel
Stay healthy.
It's trying to keep me healthy if it doesn't drive me into the grave first.
Well, you're not thinking about retirement?
I will never retire. I have too many places to go, people to see, and things to do, and God's not quite finished with me yet. This is my 4th cancer battle, and I'm gonna beat it.
That's right. Yes, you are. Tell
I
the
love
devil not
meeting
to
all of you. I hope I'll get the opportunity to see you in person. I know I've always got an open invitation to your district, so if we ever go back to in-person meetings, I'll definitely be up. But you all have my number, my email, same for Jan. Feel free to use us. That's what we're here for. We want to make this easy for you. And feel free to spread the word to as many of your friends, fellow Lions and clubs as you possibly can. And you can also share the information on our PowerPoints and our handouts as well. I think I see a question in Rose's room. I'm not sure who
yeah, it's Robbie from.
Hi, Robbie.
Deb, you scared me with your presentation, but I learned a lot. And thank you so much. I bow down to your knowledge.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, and God bless you. Well, I hope you all will remain safe. Take care of yourself. Wear your masks. I do want to see you in the future, and I always have a mask on other than sitting here in front of the screen. I'm doing it to protect you as much as it is to protect myself. So remember that as you're sharing things with your Lions. That's just as important. But thank you for allowing me to come back into your district. I really enjoyed it, and I'll look forward to hearing from you when you've got questions or seeing you again very soon. And Jan, thank you for all your help. And where did our
Roland?
And Roland, God bless you, sir. We could not have done this without you. You did a beautiful job, and I promise I'll work on Zoom and try to figure out, at least I had everything together. I just didn't know how to pull it all together.
No
But
problem. You did
I'll
excellent
get there, and I really appreciated all your extra help. Same with Sherry, so please tell her as well.
job. Okay, no
Will do.
problem.
Thank you. God